Hi, good morning. It's Amanda here. Just been playing with this beautiful fluorite sphere this morning. So pretty. Fluorite's really good for focus, mental focus. It's good for a lot of things, actually. Like, maybe I should look at that. My phone is there. Right. Hi, good morning. How's it going? Hope everybody's well. And the last time I said I wasn't dreaming much, I realized it's because I'm waking up so early too. So I actually slept in, went back to sleep this morning for a bit, and I had tons of dreams, like crazy dreams about, usually I'm like in mazes of buildings and trying to find people, and I wanted to write it down, and I have to write it down tomorrow morning because it was so clear. And now I've been up and made coffee and been playing with this crystal and the cats and texting my mom. Now it's kind of faded, but it was a really adventurous dream, and I was happy to be aware of them again, because I am quite a lucid dreamer. Anyways, I'm gonna fluorite up later and pop it into the comments. Off the top of my head, I forget. It's like communication, focus, a lot of mental clarity. I'll have to look it up though. Okay, so I'm gonna read chapter 2 here on the surrender experiment. I'm gonna read chapter 2, Journey into Life's Perfection. I'm reading a chapter each video. Okay, getting to know me. Of course not me, Michael Singer. Anyways, even in my youth, I loved to figure out how things worked. Okay, well, maybe me too. So it was inevitable that my analytical mind would become fascinated by trying to understand my relationship to the voice inside my head. Before I could enjoy this intellectual fascination, however, I had to get over the fact that the personal mind was driving me crazy. Every time I saw something, the voice made a comment about it. I like this. I don't like this. I'm not comfortable with this. This reminds me of... As I became more and more accustomed to watching all of this, a few questions naturally arose. First, why is this voice talking all the time? If I see something, I'm instantly aware of seeing it. So why does the voice have to tell me that I see it and how I feel about it? Here comes Mary. I don't feel like seeing her today. I hope she doesn't see me. I know what I see and I know what I feel. After all, I'm the one here seeing and feeling. So why does it have to get vocalized in my mind? Another question that arose was, who am I who keeps noticing all of the mental activity? Who am I that can just watch thoughts come up with a complete sentence of detachment? I now had two driving forces awakening inside, regulating this newly found voice in my head. One was the desire to shut it up, and the other was pure fascination and yearning to understand what the voice was and where it came from. I mentioned that prior to this inner awakening, my life was pretty ordinary. I only say that in comparison to what my life has become. I became a driven human being. I wanted to know about the voice I had discovered, and I wanted to know who I was, the one inside experiencing all of this. I began to spend hours on end in the graduate school library, but I was not in the economics section. I was in the psychology section. There was no way that others had not noticed this voice talking inside. It was so prevalent that you couldn't miss it. I scanned through Freud, trying to find the answer to my question. I read book after book, but I found no direct reference to the voice talking inside my head, not to mention any reference of the one who is aware of the voice talking. In those days, I would talk about the voice to anybody who would listen. They all must have thought I was crazy. I remember one encounter with a very reserved, highly cultural Spanish professor. I ran into him one day between classes and excitedly told him that I had come to understand what it meant to be fluent in a language. I explained to him that there was a voice inside your head that talks to you about virtually everything, like what you like and dislike, what you're supposed to be doing right now, and what you've done wrong in the past. If that inner voice could speak in Spanish and you immediately understood what it was saying, then you were fluent in Spanish. If, however, the Spanish words made no sense to you until you did the mental work at translating them, so that the voice would repeat them in English, then you were not fluent in Spanish. It made perfect sense to me. I told him that if I were majoring in language studies, I would do my doctorate dissertation on that premise. Needless to say, my Spanish professor gave me a very odd look, said something very polite, and went on his way. So funny. It's funny because I'm learning Spanish, and it's true. Like I know that there is a point where you stop translating back and forth to your native language when you just like straight up understand it. I didn't care what he thought, though. I was on an exploration, a journey of learning beyond anything I could have imagined. Every day, I was learning so much about myself. I couldn't believe the amount of self-consciousness and fear that was being expressed through the voice. It was so obvious that the person I was watching inside cared a great deal about what people thought of him. This was especially true of people I knew well. The voice told me what to say and what not to say. It complained incessantly when something was not the way I wanted it. If a conversation with a friend ended with the slightest discord or disagreement, the conversation would keep going on inside my head. I watched the voice wishfully imagine how the conversation could have ended on a different note. I could see how much fear of rejection and non-acceptance were being expressed through that mental dialogue. It was overwhelming at times. But I never lost the perspective of watching the voice talking inside my head. It was obvious it wasn't me. It was something I was watching. Imagine if you woke up one day and a cacophony of noises was all around you. You wanted it to stop, but you had no idea how to stop it. That's sort of the effect the voice was having on me. One thing was perfectly clear. The voice had always talked before, but I'd been so lost in it that I never noticed it was separate from me. It was like a fish, not knowing that it was in water until it gets out of the water. One leap into the air and the fish instantly realizes, whoa, there's a body of water down there, and that's where I've always been. But now I see that I can get out of it. I didn't like the voice in my mind talking all the time. It was just like an irritating noise that I really wanted to stop, but it never. For now, I was stuck with it. As it turns out, however, I had not yet begun to fight. That's the end of chapter 2. That is true, like for me, when he says about going over and over and over conversations in your head that don't go well. It's so true. I just had that yesterday. A really good friend of mine from Canada out of the blue sent me like hate texting that I had like broken her confidence and that I was crazy and what was I doing talking about her, and it turns out like I had tried to help and introduce 2 separate friends together that were going through a similar situation, and I thought maybe they could comfort each other or like work together on their issue, but it was terrible. I even asked if I could connect her. Anyways, yeah, I was like in tears a little bit over that because I really don't like being misunderstood. It's really hard. Especially when your intentions are like completely different than what maybe like comes out of your mouth. And people don't like give other people very much lenience and like time to discover what they meant. They just react and like barf stuff all over you and like don't even realize what maybe you're going on in the other person's life. So it's really hard. Like my husband came down for a shower and he saw me on the couch. He's like, oh, he's like, what's going on? And I was a little teary. I was like, oh, somebody's mad at me, and that's making me sad because I liked the person a lot. Yeah, anyways, I guess perfect time I'm reading this book because it's true. Like, there's no point wishfully thinking things are different than they are. They just are the way they are, and they unfold the way the beautiful universe wants them to unfold. And I learned a lesson to stay in my lane, and unless somebody asks me for a number or connection or name of something, I'm not gonna go out of my way to find it for them. So it's like a balance of being like nice and helpful, but with discernment. And this, by the way, is like something that's a family thing. My God, my mom was she's 82 now, almost turning 83 in May, and she's like so sweet. She's like, I just want to help. I want everybody to be happy. Are you happy? She just like wants people to be happy, and she wants to help people, but she like goes about it her way of helping and doesn't ask like, how can I help you, or would this be helpful? So like a really clear example is I used to own a metaphysical fair trade spiritual store, and I detest dollar stores and like cheap plastic shit that is made poorly and that disrupts labor laws and prices of products and pollutes the environment. Like, it's evil to me. The whole empire of cheap stuff. And humans love cheap stuff, I get it. That's why it's so popular. But anyways, my mom used to always help me by going to the dollar store and buying me little things to decorate my window. Like, so cute. She'd be out shopping and then she'd see a cute little cheap thing for 50 cents or $1, little sprinkles or stickers, and she'd bring them, or little teddy bears, and want me to put them in my front window. And then she couldn't understand why I didn't like it, because she was helping me and thinking about me. But like, my front window is my advertisement for what's in my store, which is fair trade, appropriately priced items for the time and quality, and getting it from Africa or Nepal or wherever these items came from. And you know, like real people really working on things, and I can't put it beside like a cheap doll. So if I had have taken this book to heart and surrendered, I would have just put it in the window and said, thank you, Mama, I love you. I love that you were thinking of me. And then changed out the display after. Yeah. It's the beautiful thing about getting a little older, is you learn how to be a little more gentle in your relationships. I hope. Okay. Have a good day.